Yeah. So on the development business, I think it's key that I work with a general contractor. So EJO General Contracting has actually been my partner on these development deals since I started doing the gutting of three-family buildings. So
Okay.
he came on board. It's still set up as a cost plus, so he gets his GC fee on the deal. But we are now business partners in my real estate brokerage. So we own a brokerage together with a third partner, and so we run the brokerage together. So having him take the responsibility of everything that occurs on the job site
Hmm.
falls under his scope. So I don't have to be responsible for the subs or the inspections or anything that's going on at the job site, which then allows me to think bigger picture, keeping the pipeline full,
Yep.
analyzing deals, working with architects, attorneys, engineers, getting stuff permitted, kind of big picture stuff for the business. I also have a kid, someone who works for me at Volney Capital. He oversees all the budgeting, timelines. If a deal comes in, I shoot it over to him to do the analysis, so he handles all that. So that allows me to, our monthly email updates, all the stuff that needs to be done to run the business properly. He handles that stuff for us. From the management business, we manage about 350 units, my own plus other people's rentals plus condo associations. So that's run by me and my wife. She does all the accounting and the bookkeeping,
Hmm.
paying the bills and that side of the business. I handle client relations and anything with the tenants and any maintenance and that type of thing. It's all based on systems, though. I mean, how do you manage 350 units? Well, we have a platform that allows people to submit all their rent, their condo fees. It all happens automatically. That all then gets automatically updates into accounting. So I'm not there putting checks into the account. I'm not collecting condo fee checks. It's all automatic.
Hmm.
When they call the number, it goes to an answering service. The answering service then will actually ping a contractor directly if it's off hours. So if there's a plumbing emergency, they'll ping them directly.
Hmm.
If it's not an emergency, they send me an email. So
Right.
I don't get phone calls. So it's like someone needs something for one of my units. Hi, I need to speak to someone at Volney Capital. Is this an emergency? No. What are you calling about? And then they type it up, put their email address, and send me an email. That allows me throughout the day to not have to worry about those issues.
Hmm.
I get to my computer, I can rip through everything that came in. And most of that is stuff that I can just loop in different contractors and say, hey, take care of this, take care of this, take care of this. So that's kind of how we scale the management business.
No, that's awesome. I think it's so important to, as you figure out and build out different systems that allow you to leverage, not only technology, but other people's time and resources, because it allows you to focus on, the things you need to focus on. Like you said, the big picture and, putting these deals in place to continue to develop them, move them through the pipeline and things like that, and manage the rentals you already have. So I think it's such an important factor that I think a lot of people don't account for as they think about building and scaling and stuff like that. And I also think it's really interesting to hear that you've started to bring in partners into these different other aspects of what you're doing. Because for me, especially I want to say 2-3 years ago, I always thought why would you ever, if you're building a business and then you bring in different offshoots of what you're doing or different businesses, why would you have partners when you can just hire someone to run it for you? And I never really understood it until more recently, where I've started to actually experience I'd love to start doing this. I'd love to start doing that. And there's a real benefit to not only giving up ownership and giving it to someone else as a pride and they're going to stick around and work for it and build it for you, but just also that responsibility offload, like you said, I think is a huge component. So how were you, obviously you said your wife on the management side, I'm sure you obviously knew her very well going into it. How were you able to find different partners? I know you said the one was your contractor who you had worked with for a number of years. But in other regards, how were you able to find partners, vet them, and then, commit to something as much as, giving them a stake in, the company or that arm of the business?
Yeah. So, other than Volney Capital is still a sole entity of just me. That's
Okay.
the major business and the rental business and the development business. But when it came to the brokerage, what I was looking for is I kind of looked at I wanted to build a management business as my next step. It was, I already owned a lot of rentals, and I felt that the proper next step would be a management company, manage my own, which then I grew into managing others, and was a good business for downturns.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's still, management fees are still paid.
Yep.
Right? So that business is exactly the reason I built it, was for when this happens, is like we can still make a great great revenue coming into the company based on the management business. When it came to the brokerage business, I was talking to my general contractor, who's still his own entity. So he still owns his own general contracting, builds for me, builds for others.
Gotcha.
He and I were talking about starting a real estate brokerage. And we were like, well, okay, let's do it. And we said, but I own a development company. I want to be part of this. I can feed the business. I can feed it with leads. I can feed it with rentals that can be rented or condos to be sold. You own a general contracting business. We really do need a third partner here who's going to be the managing partner, who's going to be the face of this thing. I run my business, you run your business. So that's when we started Evo Real Estate Group. We approached Ryan Aconi, and he was looking at starting his own brokerage, and he's someone that I've known for probably 4 years. He was a developer doing projects. Him and I had become very close friends. And I trusted him, and I knew who he was and who his background was. I don't think anyone should jump into partnerships with someone that's just, someone you just met. So I'd known him for years. I had known Jack for 5 years. And, that's when we decided to start the brokerage together. And I think we realized that all of us had different strengths that we could add to the business. And so that's kind of why it all worked out. What I recommend for partnerships is go deal by deal. You don't have to bring a partner into your company. Your company is your business. So if you're doing a deal, you set up your own LLC. That's you. And then you can let your partner have his LLC. That's him. And that deal, you guys split 50-50. Mm-hmm. If it goes really well, you do another deal and you're 50-50. And then if it gets to the point you both look at each other in 3 years and you say, this is stupid. We're doing every deal together. We trust each other. Let's just form an entity together. Then you can go that route. But for the short term, everyone should have their own business. You don't need to start a business with partners.